afternoon, a pleasant good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to the Friday afternoon's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption Incompetence. Today, Friday, the 7th day of November in the year of our Lord 2025. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I continue to implore you to share the live because people are caught with the time difference. Now is what, 5 o'clock just after in Guyana, 4 o'clock just after in New York, Eastern Standard Time. And the time changed, which occurred over the last weekend there, is still catching some people. So you got to share. Look, you see the regulars and I here, and others who would want to be on the live. Just let them know that Speaking Out is on. Speaking Out is on. And like everything else, like every other day, we have so much to tell you. I had a big task this afternoon, well, since yesterday, to try to decide on which are the subjects we're going to deal with this afternoon. So we have come up with some very interesting ones, the ones that are topical, and we're going to discuss them with you in a short while. But share the live. Another great day, Friday, the 7th day of November, 2025. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. So share, sit back, take your seat. I suspect now that it's 5 o'clock, some people might have already reached home. Cock up, take whatever little drink you want, take your Coke, take your popcorn. You're going to enjoy this afternoon again. You're going to be educated. So many things that we have to tell you this afternoon. So share. When the notification was posted yesterday, for those of you who would have seen it, we talk about the sudden withdrawal of the fraud charges against the moment by GRA. We alert you. We're going to talk about the dismissal of the murder charge against policeman Christoph. He was charged with the murder of Quindon Bacchus. And we have other stuff to tell you about this afternoon. So share. And as you come in, we are at almost 7 months. Give me a thumbs up. Give us the thumbs up, and we are going to be with you in a short while. Good news again, my partner, my opening bowling partner or opening batting, whatever you choose it, is in the studio. CC is in the studio, waiting patiently to have a go, to bring you credible, valuable information. So share the live, and we are going to get into it very shortly. We're going to get into it. Another great day, as I say. Friday afternoons are supposed to be special because we know you had a rough week. Well, you had a long week, and you're looking forward to your weekend. And maybe this is the best way to start you relaxing. When you listen to that theme song there, Gary Saul, that should tend to put you in the mood to relax and to enjoy what is coming, to be edified by what is coming, and we're going to be with you. And we're still looking out Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in Ghana time. I'm still monitoring social media very closely because the Attorney General Anil Nandlal SC MP said that we expect more extradition requests next week. He says last week. So, well, to be correct, today is the last working day, but then tomorrow is still part of the week. Saturday is still part of the week. So maybe it is still coming. And we're going to talk about that a little more. So share. And let me recognize those who came in very early. Jakey was the first man in. After Jakey was Ulrich. Then we had Wayne. And you see how the names are displayed there on YouTube. Again, I say I don't know why all of a sudden over the past week or so, the names are displayed like that, like like email address. I don't know what has happened there. I don't know if I can do anything at my end to correct it. And I would appreciate the tech people to advise me. Then we have Terrence. After Terrence, it was Michael. Then Sean is here very early as usual. Barbara, who ran from the Essequibo Coast. Desiree, all the way from Georgia. Raul is here, just had a birthday the other day. Then we have Earl, Ivla all the way from Texas. Well, welcome back. Then we have Rosalind, Forgus, Mary. Then it was Joan from New Amsterdam. Hold a while. The thing disappeared from here now. Yeah, Joan. Then we had Brian Ridley, the angel is here. Then Peter. After Peter, it was Rayburn, Clarence, Anthony from Peters Hall, Courtney, and the list goes on. Excuse me. And then when we open the doors, those who are in the gate, when we open the door, the first man here was the regular. I think it was. Excuse me, Edward. I was here. Then Yolanda, Carlton, Rosie Rose, Wells. Then it was Rhonda, Claire, and Brian, and the list goes on and on and on. Now for the announcements, the sad ones first. We told you of the death of retired Detective Inspector Colbert Ali, and I think I gave you a wrong date for the funeral. Let me correct that. It's going to be on Monday. Monday is November the 10th, and it says here the viewing at his residence Manchester on the quarantine from 11 to 12, then to Myconi Methodist Church for service from 2 p.m., and then he's going to be buried at a cemetery nearby. That is what they say. And we did tell you two of the death of former Detective Constable 7446 Noel. He migrated to Canada some years ago, and then he moved to Cayenne. Well, I think he was buried in Cayenne yesterday. The funeral took place in Cayenne yesterday. Then we have the death to announce of a former member, 8233 Galloway. The cricketers will remember. Simo, I'm sure you remember Galloway. He used to be the captain for the police White Cup team. For those younger people who don't know what I'm talking about here, in those days you had three levels. You had the Case Cup, the senior, that is the senior division, local division, Case Cup. That is in Demerara, I think, because Barbies had their own arrangement. So you had Case Cup, and then intermediate was Northcote. I played a few Northcote games. I also played one Case Cup game. And then you had the White Cup, which is the third level. Well, Gally was the captain of that successful White Cup team. For years and years and years, the police White Cup team dominated, at all levels. At one stage, the White Cup team won the trophy for years and years. So too did the Case Cup team. And then we also had the Northcote team, that second level team that was captained by no less a person than the commissioner himself, Balin Ragabir. Right? So Gally passed away recently, might have been yesterday, in Canada, you understand, 82-33. 82-33 was his number. I know Gally in the White Cup team was so successful because I remember Alexander, 5349, traffic sergeant on the East Coast when I was there in 73. Then he moved to Kitty. He used to lead that team, and I believe Gally took over from Alexander, 5349 Alexander. So yeah, and then we have also, I told you a few days ago of the death of a shooting buddy of mine, Derek Narine. Well, he was cremated this morning. Derek was cremated this morning in Georgetown. And then we learned of the death of a neighborhood policewoman, Beverly Britton of Lenora Police Station. So she took him and she died. Also, I read yesterday of the death of the former Suriname president, Ronald Venetian. He died, I think, yesterday. And I did some research. He was the president there. He died at the age of 89. And he died on November 5th. November 5th. So he was the president between 1991 and 1996. I think he was overthrown by the military coup in Suriname. And then he came back in 2000 and was held office from 2000 to 2010. But I saw an interesting fact this morning when I was looking at it. He was known as the man with 10 clean fingers. They said the Dutch people in Suriname referred to him as the man with 10 clean fingers. And that in itself tells you what type of person he was. Now, what we just hear about Alibaba and the 40 thieves, right? That is what we just hear. But I say in Suriname, The president, the former president, the late former president, was known as the man with 10 clean fingers. We have a whole set of people with all sorts of other names, but I don't think any one of those names can be said to be complimentary. And it's truthful, factual. So that is what we have. And then, as I continue to say, and you will recognize this, that in Guyana, almost every day is some tragedy. Every day. The cross, people, well, not them, not the people in itself, perhaps the leaders, the cross, right? Let me see. They say two men, and I have their name here, Patrice Grimond and Elvis Robin. They are some security. Yesterday they drowned, or the day before. Recently they were traveling in the river, the Peruni River. The boat, they say, encountered difficulties. The boat capsized. Two men swam to shore. These two drowned. These two drowned. Now we're going to talk something a little bit more about that a little later. And then we have Sophia Man stabbed to death. A Sophia Man, there says some altercation within the man and his reputed wife. And they claim that she stabbed him, but I read something which said that he was rushed to the hospital, and when he was pronounced dead, the girlfriend or the reputed wife disappeared. I don't think they have found her as yet, but she's the main suspect. So tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. That is what you have. Tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. We need a whole week of prayers and fasting and all that. Some of them need to bathe with blue water. Some of them need to walk towards the seawall and keep walking north. If you're in Georgetown, they keep walking. Ricey sang a song. She kept on walking. Keep on walking, man. Keep on walking. Right? So, and then don't forget that 585 days since Sergeant Vaughan, Police Sergeant Alex Vaughan, was shot and killed, they say, by a colleague. 585 days today. And we ain't hearing much about it. We ain't hearing much about it. The family ain't hearing anything about it as well. So that is what we have. And in terms of let me move on to I don't want to spoil your mood for the weekend. So let me give some of the more pleasant announcement. Birthday greetings today. Superintendent Marlon Taylor. Marlon, happy birthday. Well, I should have expressed condolences to the relatives and friends, colleagues of those persons who passed, right? Forgive me for not doing that earlier. But then Marlon birthday today is Marlon Taylor, Superintendent Taylor. I used to get you as a little worthless, wicked boy. That's a worthless, not in a bad way, not in a bad way. So I used to always tease him about that. So then we have former member Errol Pollard. His number was 9771. Errol is observing a natal day today as well. And then belated birthday wishes are going out to DJ Farley, Albert Farley. Albert Farley was a 9500 police, 9580 something, I think. I can't remember the exact number now. But Albert was the badge after me, right? After me in 1974, he came in there. So he celebrated one recently. And then advanced birthday greetings are going out to a shooting body. I think we don't shoot now, but we were bodies. Paul Archer, who is in Canada and who follows this program regularly. So Paul is celebrating observing a birth anniversary in the next few days. So that is what we have for now. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then I'm going to come back to make a few more announcements, and then we're going to get on with it, as they say. CC, welcome, my brother. Welcome. You look very colorful this afternoon.
Yeah, man. I was dressed. I was dressed. I didn't know what to put on, and people went to the wardrobe and say, "Wear this," So I'm happy about it. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work, and I'm recovering well from the episode that I had. Thanks to all those persons who pray for me, who send wishes, who do all sort of things, all in effort for me to be back on stream 100%. I'm doing extremely well, and I'm well taken care of, because I had made an investment since 1979, and it's working, and it's working well. Um, my sympathy goes out to the family of Robin. and it's Kevis Robin who died together with another ex-police. And Kevis was a police too. In the Perini area, I think some boats sank with them. Luckily, they recovered the body. I think they had a post-mortem for Kevis today, and it was drowned in. And very shortly, I think he will be buried. We waiting on the arrangements from his family. Well, I know him. Well, let me talk a little bit about him. Because for the matter, his father and I went to school together. His father was one of them bad boys in the back bench, or bad or wicked boys in the back bench, but we got along well. And after he joined the force, he became my orderly. You're talking about Kevis. And he used to eat out my food sometimes, because part of his duty was to collect my food and put it in my room. He had a key for the room. And if it take too long to go and it, he's when I go back, the food gone. And he says, so all right, thought you were eating, one thing and so. And he said, more or less, he cooks them too. Look, I want proper food for the officer. Those way you give me, he can't work. I want proper thing. And then he would eat it out. But let me talk a story. I remember Saturday afternoon, we were standing in front in the compound. Me and him, we talking. And four females, beautiful females, came from the back room walking past us. One we used to call Miss FAPC. And he looked at me, he said, sir, the one with the blue shirt, the blue jersey, I want hustle here. I really want hustle here. I said, okay. So when they reach us, I said, Miss FAPC, you stand, I want to talk to you. The rest can go. And then I tell her, I said, keep this one to hustle you. You all go and talk. And it's for them left, and they go and talk. And as fate will have it, that was the start of a relationship, and she became his wife. They couple children, she became his wife. So we were very, very close. I know the children them well. I know they're grieving, but then, death is a must. Death is a necessary end. It will come when it comes. So my sympathy goes out to the bereaved family and also the other youngster who died in the Missouri there. But the thing is that, I hope the police are doing environmental scanning. Let me take a little other button. I remember in 1979, 30th July 1979, I was traveling in a boat in the river at Maburumo, and the boat sank. Four of us, engine and boat, everything went down. I'm talking about the Kaichuma River. We swam to shore. It was nine something the night, and we were rescued, I think, about 3 hours afterward. Forget about a man named Ronnie Marshall. And from that day, and I worked extensively in the interior as a constable, as a corporal, as a sergeant, that I made sure that anytime I get in the boat and I get in the river, I got to get a life jacket. And even when I turn sub officer and I turn commander, I used to make sure that when my ranks gain in the river, they must go with their life jacket. We heard a couple of months ago some guy from the army at Eteringbang couldn't swim, and he drowned. I know of some men who on the MV, the boat at the Borimo Moke there, and they can't swim. And people in riverine areas, police in riverine areas can't swim. When they can't swim, the police must ensure that they have proper safety measures for them. They must make sure if they're gaining the river that they have their life jackets. They have their life jackets. It must be a must. Occupation, health, and safety must come into play, and they must be very, very stern on that. Very stern on that. So I'm appealing to them. the police. Make sure that your ranks in the interior, and I have soft spot for ranks in the interior, that when they're going on this river trips, they must have proper safety equipment for them.
Well, that goes not only, thanks for that intervention, but that goes not only for the police, but for all people's occupational health and safety. You had back in 1973, I remember Kanji Creek when police and soldiers died, both capsized. And you have had incidents like that where no safety equipment and the boat encounters difficulty and people go down, whether it's in some cases, I suspect they could swim, but for whatever reason they drunk. What says if you can't swim and you don't have on any life jacket or the type? This thing is serious. And I hope the new minister who talking about safety, you know, when they wall fall along the other day on the East Coast and kill the chap there, they run out and they make a lot of statement. But these are the things that they need to look into: health, occupational health and safety. Only, I think, earlier this week, let me show you. Let me show you all this one. Look. From the time I saw that thing, I said, look what is going on in occupational health and safety. They're lifting some container, and then the man in the red jersey, the red polo shirt, it's a close proximity under that thing. Even before I saw the end there, where it came into contact with some electric wires, I hear the whole area blackout as was to be expected when something like that happened. I was saying, but why is this man so close on this thing? Suppose something happened and the rope cut or something fall down, this man is going to be killed. But that is what we have. We don't have this type of consciousness. Occupational health and safety. You see people walking, they don't wear protective clothing, they don't wear goggles, they don't wear gloves, not at all. And this thing's supposed to be, they're supposed to emphasize. Now you have security men on the river, they're traveling on the river, no life vest. I understand today from the news, the bodies were recovered. The body recovered, I saw since yesterday, which of a recovered body, and the firearms that they were carrying were also recovered, right? Also recovered. But it's negligent on the part of the people who employ them. You can't send people to work or to travel or to traverse the river without ensuring that they have proper safety equipment. In the case of the river, life vests should be mandatory. Mandatory. But there is no standard at all in the place called Guyana. And you have agencies charged with the responsibility of ensuring that, under the Ministry of Labor, but they don't do anything. It is really, really, really sad. 2 men lost their lives. Wives and children are left to mourn. Family members are left to mourn. That is what you have in this crazy, crazy place. Now, moving on, let me remind you, Hurricane Melissa, people who can assist, please do so. And again, I warn you about scammers, because they're going to come out in your numbers to try to scam you. Make sure that if you're going to make a donation, either in cash or kind, you give it to the authentic, genuine people. Then, daylight saving time, I got to remind you all again, because I suspect a lot of you are caught in this change of time. In the afternoon, Friday afternoon now, because this is the first Friday afternoon since daylight saving time. It is still 4 o'clock in the Eastern Standard Time, but it's going to be 5 o'clock in 5 p.m. Guyana time. So make a note and tell the others that it's 5 o'clock. As I suspect, someone would have signed on at 4 and then see the program and believe that we are not on. So again, I say share. Let them know what is going on. I remind you too that November is designated Diabetes Awareness Month, and therefore make sure that you know your number. This is one time you don't want to be too sweet. Now we understand it. Diabetes is referred to as sugar. You get sugar in your blood. This is one time You don't want to be too sweet. I got a friend, still a friend, he's still around, who went to the doctor and he doctor tested and thing. You were the officers mess the afternoon when he came back and he looked very sad. And I said, what happened, partner? He said, man, you went to the doctor and the doctor said you get sugar. So I tried to console the man. I said, well, you know, the doctor tell you get sugar, you do all you gotta make sure now you watch your diet, you exercise, and maybe if it comes to that, you get medication. He said, but man, I pay a whole set of money. I said, man, when it comes to your health, money is not should be a consideration. He said, but I go to this doctor, pay this doctor a whole set of money, and the man tell me say you get sugar. I said, but what is the concern? He said, you know, long them girl they telling me that. That was the man's response to it. That them girls telling me long that you get sugar. So, and then you got to pay this doctor now for your doctor tell you the same thing. And then a friend was afternoon, I think a Friday afternoon too, when a friend of mine who liked to make jokes said that. And then on Sunday coming is going to be Remembrance Day, Armistice Day, right? Puppy Day, we call it, Remembrance Day. And Remembrance Day, I learned that years ago when I used to look after parades and so on, right? Is the Sunday closer or closest? They said the Sunday closest to the 10th of November. That is Remembrance Day. The Sunday closest to the 10th or closer to the 10th, because you're going to be too closer to the 10th of November. That is Puppy Day. So Sunday the 9th will be Armistice Day, Puppy Day, and you know, you get a Remembrance Day parade. I have fond memories of those things, you know. Years ago at the TSU, they used to enline you for Remembrance Day parade, and them soldiers used to, we had big competition, because there's a parade, you don't go with arms and so on. So they used to put you in that square around the cenotaph, and police used to be on the western side facing east. So when the sun started to come up there and hit you in your face, right? You're making sure that nobody can collapse and fall down, because there's a parade where a lot of people are swim early in the morning, and when the sun coming up, early. But we learned the techniques, starting first with your boots, make sure it ain't too tight. Then you go to your belt must not be too tight. And for police, your cap, make sure that it is not fitting down too tight, because if the cap is too tight in your head and you start to perspire, the inner part of the cap there is a kind of a leather. And if you perspire, the leather started to swell, it black you off, black out. So we used to say, hold up, no police wasn't fall down. We brace up some men. Brace up. The only way if you really feel bad, if a soldier go, then maybe a police can go. But no police must go first. No police must go first. Some of them still have those type of friendly rivalry and so on. Right? That parade. So Sunday morning is that outside of the cenotaph there, and elsewhere in the country. But the main one that's me at the cenotaph, just by Bank of Guyana there, Guyana stores, that is that roundabout there. That is the cenotaph. And then I want to congratulate members of Course 91 of the Guyana Police Force, because on the 9th Sunday too, they will be observing their anniversary. And that course included former Commissioner Leroy Bramell, former Assistant Commissioner Nolan Hendricks. Then we had Clinton Rocky Blair, that managed Puppy Blair, was part of that course. Philip Armstrong was a part of the course. Angel, who's on the program, a part of the course too. M. Tage, Andrews, I think it's Bambi, Dennis Andrews. Gary Barrow, I know he and his family are usually on this program. Coxall, Joseph, that was a squad. The Blairs, I remember the Blairs. Rocky, I think there were 3 or 4 Blairs. And, you know, again, I say, as an instructor, that is where you got to do number and name. Because when you get 3 or 4 persons with the same name, the only thing that differentiates them is the number, right? So you got to call the number, that thing that stick with you, the number and the name. And finally, I want to congratulate the children. We said here the student top, Guyanese QC student top, C-Sec and Cape. Congratulations to them. Yeah, 10089 Angel. Yeah, he was one of the earlier members. Because you know you go by alphabetical Angel, then you had Blair, Bromell, and all of them there. So congratulations to them. Let me bring in CC, and then we're going to move on to some of the substantive items this morning. This afternoon. CC?
Yeah, congratulations to Leroy and others. You know, and I remember an issue in the with the parade. The issue with the parade where a guy dies here, you know, and by the sun and he there, and next thing the black thing start trickle down from his ear and mess up his tunic, you know, and it's very very humorous. Things are from here down to his white tunic and that was it, you know. Mm.
I'm saying, you remember, um, like how when the police training school was opened at Adventure and the people faint. The most famous fainting parade they ever had in the Guyana Police Force, in the history of the Guyana Police Force, was a medal parade they had sometime in the 70s. I think it was Messiah, I can't remember which one. He came there to give the closing address. And by the time he done, almost half the parade fall down, including the commissioner who had to take a year fall down, or the commissioner, like Barker, had to walk off and sit down. This man going on and on and on and on and on. And then at one stage, the way he was there, I think it was a sergeant on the parade. And then the man said, finally, then he said, and finally, we all sigh a sigh of relief. And he went down for like about 20 minutes after them. And I would always remember that because prior to the parade, I was sent to his chambers to brief him on the parade and so on. And I brief, and the man asked me how long the thing. I said, well, maybe 10 minutes should be the maximum. He said, okay. I tell the man, should not be speaking for more than 10 minutes. The man carry on for over an hour. Everybody falling down on the parade. So that is the most famous one ever. I don't know if anybody remember that, I mean, the older policemen. Sometime in the 70s, that occurred. Sometime in the 70s. CC, I know if you remember. I know if you remember the one, but that was a record parade.
Uh, I remember it, I think it's around about 76 or thereabout, you know, and it was Kit Messiah. Kit Messiah, the man, instead of coming and address them, he gave a like he was in the court and he gave a ruling and he wasn't finishing at all and people started following and all the thing. I think it was all 76. I watched it, I was a spectator and people started collapse. He went on and on and on and on. I remember it.
Could be 76 or 77. Could be. Yes, let me move on. Now, somebody made the point here, this thing, this morning. Um, you know, we telling about security and all of that. And I have to insert this topic this afternoon. I understand that this morning. Well, first of all, I was in court virtual this morning. I attended court. Did not last long. That's about 5 to 10 minutes because we had to make some submissions, which we did electronically. And Matt is now put off for the next 3 weeks, 28, because the prosecutor will then reply to the submissions made on the 28th. So I was there and everything went well. But then later on, I learned that there was a bomb threat, Bob. There should be a bomb scare. Somebody must be calling and say there was a bomb planted somewhere in the Georgetown Magistrate Court. And I looked at some images on social media there, and I hope that these people recognize that now that we have terrorists operating in the country, we have had 3 known terrorist attacks. I understand they might have been a fourth that they covered on. I'm talking about the police station East La Penitence, East Rival outpost, the GPL substation, bomb through there, and then we had this one in Regent Street at the mobile gas station that killed that child. Right? So you get terrorists operating in Guyana. I know some people are arrested and they are remanded. You cannot assume that they are the only ones who involved in such attacks. Can't assume. And you know, when I saw this, I said, oh, they make sure we used to have a standard operational procedure for bomb threats. I hope the squad and them look up that SOP for bomb threats. And this SOP is not only applicable to police ranks, it's applicable to all offices, government offices in particular, right? What should happen if you receive a call? Crucial people. I used to be spearheading this training, spearheading the training, because it starts with the person who received the call. What should they do? The person receives a call, say, look, a bomb planted at a particular place. I ain't gonna go into the details here. This is not a place for those details to be discussed. But I'm saying to them, you have to look at that. A person receives, because most times it's by telephone. Most times. People gonna call on the telephone and say a bomb is planted at a particular place. Make sure you have a SOP, what action should be taken. And one of the things I saw this morning, and I got to talk about it, right, is once you have a bomb threat, you can't assume that it's an hoax, and therefore all your response have to cater that maybe something is there and you're going to go off. And therefore I said that to say they put up a cordon this morning there. But what I saw has led me to believe that they didn't get proper training because the cordon was too close, in my opinion. Because if an explosive device is there, you don't know how large a device it is. You don't know what type of range is going to cover. So you have to make sure you stay away, you stay a reasonable distance away. But to be just in the adjoining street there, no. I saw this myself. I have to comment on it. You have to have the SOP. You have to, when they talk about the training involves the people them in the offices, right? So you have the people who receive the call, the people in the offices. When you go there, you're going to get evacuation. One of the basic things, and this part is not no secret, so I'm going to talk about it. One of the basic things is that the persons who are evacuating, right, and this should be part of the SOP, should be asked to take their belongings with them. And you ask them to indicate if they saw any strange stuff where they were. Because they're the best people to know. And you don't want them to leave their bag and their handbag and thing, because then when the technical people come in, it's more work they get. It's going to take longer for them to clear the area. So those are basic things. So you will tell them, look, you come with a bag. When you evacuate, take your bag with you. Right? Take your bag. So it's less stuff for the bomb exports and them to go through. It requires training. It requires practice. Right? It requires practice. And that is where people like the Deputy Commissioner Operations and them come in. To make sure you have a proper SOP, make sure you bomb exports and the people in these offices, people like the courts and so on, right? And when you talk about the courts, we're not talking about only the policemen who work at the court, but the court staff, the magistrates, the judges, all of those people have to be spoken to and for them to understand. Because I have a great concern, which I raised with members of the judiciary, about the security in the courts in Georgetown in particular. As you are aware, in recent times, since the charge, me much charge in 2021, I have been going to the court frequently. And there is absolutely no proper security in those courts. Whether it's in magistrate court, whether it's high court, I was appalled. When I want to walk in, I get my little bag, I'm around my shoulder until you just walk in. You walk in with a bag. I remember on one occasion, I sat on a bench in the Georgetown Magistrate Court, and my main protagonist was sitting nearby. And I said, well, look a story. And nobody even check to see if I get a knife. Nobody even check to see if I get a gun. Nothing at all. And here I am in this place with people lying for me. I mean, I ain't going to do nothing, not do them anything. But everybody's not me. And, I spoke to a particular judge because I wanted to speak to other people. I made an attempt to speak, but they weren't there. I said, this is a serious, serious thing. You get people going into court, and then the next thing you hear, you get some sentence, you get something, and then man, and trip out. Right? Especially with the proliferation of firearms, both legal and illegal. I warned them, and I'm using this forum to warn again, that the security of those courts should be assessed and make sure that them perfunctory thing where you get some special constable stamp at the gate and all them type of thing. And somebody told me, you dare not enter a federal building in the US without going through all type of security, right? All type of security got to go through. About what we have, we take things for granted. But I'm saying that up to 2 Sundays ago, perhaps you could have taken things for granted. but we get terrorists bombing, killing people. And I would hope that would use that as the bomb threat this morning to make sure that they brush out the SOP and they train the people them how to operate when there is a threat. Hope they're trained to operate, right? Not like back in the day when I was at the TSU, I was a sergeant, young sergeant. I was a sergeant at the age of 21. And we had drills. We used to get drills, bomb drills and so on. There was a particular old sergeant. I saw his son was online on the thing, and he put the father number and thing. I'm going to call the number to embarrass anybody. But he was much, 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 much older, right? And then anything like, and then old men always believe they know more than us young men. So the scenario at that time, they told him that there was a bomb planted at the police finance office. He should respond. And the man took up the men, and he went and he surrounded the police finance office. He was in close proximity to the police finance office. And then when the assessments were made, they said, well, you carry the people them there. When the bomb go off, what's going to happen to you and all of them? What is going to happen to you and them when the bomb... Hold on. Yeah, what's going to happen to you and them when the bomb goes off? So that's why I say this is part of the training. You have to make sure, you establish a perimeter. Yeah, but the perimeter got to be a reasonable distance away from where this bomb is supposed to be, right? And I have a lot of experience in that, right? And I would go so far to recommend to them that maybe you have to get to a stage now where those places are swept and locked down. Proper security 24 hours a day. Swept and locked down. And I learned that, or that was reinforced when I was part of the Security Directorate for Cricket World Cup 2007, 2010, 2018, all sweep the place and lock it down. So you're making sure that nobody goes in there. But you talk about proper security. When you have sports security, which I was in for a number of years, you go and you sweep the stadium. A lot of people say, well, it's costly to sweep the stadium. And yeah, but it is more costly if you have a bomb threat and then you have to stop a match and evacuate. But when the place is swept and held, and then somebody called to say that there's a device somewhere there, you can afford to treat it less seriously because you know, here, not totally ignore it. You know that, hey, this place was properly checked and the security was maintained, and therefore it can be an hoax. These are tips I'm giving you people. And again, this is not nothing secret or sensitive. So say that the public should not be made aware of that. The public should be made aware because they're going to be your eyes and your ears. They are going to be your eyes and ears. You know, you talk about in the U.S., in New York in particular, they tell you if you see something, say something. At the airport, they will tell you that don't leave your baggage unattended. I don't know if they make them type of announcements in Ghana. Because in New York and many airports in the U.S., the announcement coming over, don't leave your bag unattended because when the time they spot it unattended, they're going to take it and destroy it. Because they're going to treat it as if it is a bomb or some improvised explosive device. So that is what we got to get to now that we have terrorists in this country. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. I've said enough on that. Let me bring in CC. CC, I know you want to have your say on this bomb threat. Go ahead, my brother.
So true, you know. So true that they need to go back to the SOP, and perhaps it may need a bit of refining. Right now, I know we used to have quite a lot of exposure in that. I remember I went through some training with Francis Forbes, who later became the commissioner of the Jamaica Police Force, you know. And I remember too, I was holding A Division, was a one-day match, and I think you were there, and they had a report that there's a bomb planted in the pavilion, and you were there, and you didn't take it with all the major seriousness of it because you had already swept the place and you already locked it down. So, you know, it was no real difficulty that you people had to panic as the case may be. But they need to go back to the SOPs. And maybe one if they get sniffer dogs, you know, dogs who could sniff and find bombs and find other things as the case may be. And even here they're sniffing cocaine, you know. But yes, get back to this SOP, and it may need to be refined a bit.
Yeah, well, on Monday when they had opening of the parliament there, when they had the convening of the parliament, I saw pictures of them with canine And I suspect if you're going to have K9 at the convention center there where Parliament was to sit, that got to be bomb sniffing K9. So maybe they have the resources, but make use of it. Make use, take care of our judicial officers, because I will speak about that later, because they are under attack from senior people. They're attacking, especially I look on social media, they have launched a scathing attack against Magistrate Judy Latchman, who last Friday granted bail to the Mohammed. Even yesterday, Barrett Jagdeo, the vice president, the second vice president, made what I consider to be some uncomplimentary remarks about the magistrate. And those things can incite. Maybe it wasn't intended to do that, but I'm saying making comments like that can incite these sick people you have there, the sick ones who are sick, right? So I am saying that whoever responsible, whether it's the chancellor and all of them, that should really consider the security of the courts, especially now. As I've said, especially now, because when the vice president yesterday, at his usual Thursday ramblings, can sit down there and call out the magistrate because she granted bail to the Mohammeds. As I said, he might not intend for any physical harm to come to them, but you got a lot of stupid people out there. He did say that Guyana got a lot of stupid people. And the next thing you know, them stupid people listen to you and take crank, and then they put in that magistrate and others in harm's way. I am cautioning. Free advice from a security expert. Free advice. I'm cautioning. Right? Let me go to this next issue. And the next issue I'm dealing with here now is the dismissal of the murder charge against Christophe de Nabriga, occurred yesterday in the High Court. Christophe de Nabriga was charged with the murder of Quindon Bacchus. That murder took place in June of 2022, right? And for those of you who know the story quickly, police said that Ransom Special Branch had a sting operation. This boy, Bacchus, was to sell a illegal firearm to an undercover policeman from the Special Branch. So they roll up Ransom Special Branch, Ransom regular police CID, a whole set of policemen mounted this operation. Now, the first question that I asked since back then, why is the Special Branch involved in a sting operation? Times have changed, but in case you all know, Special Branch don't get involved in that type of thing. They might do the work, but when it comes to the execution is done by either CID ranks or regular ranks. Because what happens? They at some stage, you expect you have to go to court, and you never want your Special Branch people to go in court where they are known. Because most times you have good Special Branch people, they live right in the community, and people don't even know they are policemen attached to the Special Branch. That is supposed to be, they're supposed to be deep, deep, deep undercover. So you have this one, a Wild West operation. They go. They claim that Quindon Bacchus turned up with his gun to sell the police, one them been in the trunk, and then they come out to make an arrest. He ran. Police say he ran. They claim that he was pursued and he turned back and he shot at them. As a result of that, they were forced to open fire and he was shot and killed. That is what they said, the initial thing. It turned out that the story about Quindon Bacchus shooting at them was a lie, because the police ballistic expert, having examined some firearm, Quindon Bacchus had a firearm indeed, he said that the firearm was not operable. It couldn't fire. So there's no way Quindon Bacchus could have been shooting at them. The next thing that was revealed is that several ranks from Special Branch and the other who are under this thing pursued this man, Quindon Bacchus, and several ranks fired at him. Several ranks shot at him. Postmortem show, I think he had 7 bullet wounds. They said 6 to the back and 1 to the chest. The one to the chest seems to have been a coup de grace, right? All right. Policemen arrested. Well, a big demonstration on the East Coast Big demonstration. Y'all remember that? Big demonstration where the head of special branch, Watts, assistant commissioner at the time, found himself on the road in his jacket and all starting or blazer, whatever, and he's shooting in the air, shooting in the air. Travis Chase captured it and had it on social media. Shooting. Head of special branch on the road with people supposed to be a right unit shooting. That is the day when they were marching coming to town, and they choose to intercept them right by the Maripo market. And then you had chaos in the market, vehicle burn, all sort of thing. All right. So, following public outrage, they decided, well, you say they were an investigation, right? Other investigation. The matter, as required by law, was supervised, they say, by the Police Complaints Authority, who is now deceased. Then we learned that Quindon Bacchus, Damian McLennan, and not Quindon Bacchus, Christophe de Nabriga, Damian McLennan, and Thurston Simon were charged. Christophe charged with the murder, Damian McLennan and Thurston Simon charged with some, I think, is perverting the course of justice, something like that. In addition to that, Thurston Simon, it was recommended that he get a departmental charge. They appeared in court on the 5th of July, 2022 to answer the separate charges. And as was to be expected, the man charged with murder was remanded. The others were remanded as well. David McLennan was remanded, even though, well, I'm going to talk about it later, remanded to prison. The man spent months in prison remanded when the evidence clearly showed that he wasn't part of this other people pursuing the deceased person. And I had the opportunity to look at that report and the report from the Complaints Authority, inclusive of the post-mortem report and all of them things. I look at it. I went through it. As a matter of fact, I think I still get it somewhere. And having gone through it, I said, well, I can't see. Well, this after the charges were laid, I said, so what would the charge in this field of the man for murder? Where is the evidence? I did not see any evidence that can convict any one of these people, especially the man charged with murder. Because you know why? And I saw Robin this morning. Robin, I know hope you're listening. And I know emotions running high and all this everything, right? Because apparently some main witness, they said, who was a special constable, did not turn up at the trial and all of that. But even before that, several persons fired at this man, Quindon Bacchus. And I did not see an iota of evidence linking any firearm owned by you or issued to any one of these as a murdered weapon. Because if you get several persons shooting and you want to charge one man with murder, you have got to first of all, you got to recover the bullets from the body, which was never done. Which was never done based on what I read. Was never done. You have to recover the bullet. You have to be able to match the bullet that it caused the death of the deceased to the gun that this man had. I see no such evidence in the file. No such evidence. So how do you prove in a court of law that of all the guns that were fired, that this is the gun that killed this man? So from very early, my friends will bear me out, and I tell them, I said, this case can't stand as it is. Can't stand because, again, we say you can't place every reliance on eyewitness statements and evidence. And here you have a good example, because this person will say disappear. As long ago, the Bible say the person mystic, right? So the case fell through. They're claiming because of that. I believe it's more than that. But when you have forensic evidence, if you have had forensic evidence to show that the gun that was issued to Christophe de Nabriga is the gun that shot and killed Quindon Bacchus, that even if this person did not turn up, you have forensic. Forensic don't fail to turn up. I mean, people can make sure that the evidence disappears, but once the evidence is there, it is there. And I had my reservations from the get-go. I said this case is a very weak case. But what happened? My view. My opinion was that because of public pressure, the DPP decided they got a code. So they try to appease the public. And that's what happened. That's what happened in many, many cases. And this is another case that was dismissed at no case submission. You know, when I've been following this case, and I've been asking you all students to follow this case. I said follow the case. And one of the reasons why I was saying that, because I knew this would have been the outcome. I knew the matter would have been dismissed. And this is a case where it didn't even go to the jury. When the state presented its case, the case was so weak that the judge ordered the jury to return a formal verdict of not guilty and dismiss the case. So weak. So it didn't get to the stage where the jury had to deliberate and discuss the evidence to determine that this man was not guilty. The judge ordered them when this, and here how the thing goes, in case y'all know, the accused person and get no response. Well, you have to present your case. If you're the prosecutor, you have to present your case beyond a reasonable doubt. The onus is on you. Beyond a reasonable doubt to say, well, this man killed this man. All the evidence you have to produce. And what happened in this case? When the evidence was produced by the prosecution, the state prosecutors, and they decided that they're going to close the case, and no case submission would have been made by the defense counsel. I think it's Mr. Thomas. And having listened to once a no case submission is made, the defense, the prosecutors will then have an opportunity to reply. Because the defense might say, well, look, based on the evidence they presented, there's no case to answer, blah, 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 blah. For this reason, that reason, that reason. Then they are given the opportunity to basically rebut. And then when that is done, then the judge has to rule. And in this case, when the defense presented their evidence, when the prosecution presented its evidence, and the defense made a no case submission, the case fell through. I'm not surprised the case fell through, because I have said to you repeatedly on this program, students, you know what is what evidence you can produce to a court to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that is what took place. And they are unable to do so. This is only one case. This is only one such case. No case submission, the case gone. And it's sad, because I know, again, emotion running high, because I looked at Robin this morning, talk about the family, is Quentin Bacchus' child, is the child mother, and yeah, but that is what you have in Guyana. And it starts, as I said, these matters have to be thoroughly investigated. Thoroughly investigated. Evidence has to be collected, preserved, and be presented in court. And in a matter like this, you have a DPP's chamber who's supposed to go through the evidence. And maybe in many cases, they say, clear up this, clear up that, get additional evidence here. But the DPP chambers over the years has taken the position, let go to court and let the court dismiss it, even though they would know that, look, this case is a very weak case, we get the evidence. And the whole system is to be blamed. Because in many cases, it looked like at the preliminary inquiry, the PI, which is held by a magistrate to determine whether it's a prima facie case, they take the easy way out, send it up to the High Court, and let the High Court decide on it. In the meanwhile, someone is languishing in prison for years. Now, this one came quick because this happened in 2022, and 3 years down the road, just over 3 years, the matter finished. So this is a fast trial. This is a fast trial, right? But people languishes in jail for years and years and years. No evidence. Judges have had to make the type of comment that they see case going up to the High Court, murder and other serious matters, not an iota of evidence. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. CC, I assure you, you want to go down on this one too. Go, my brother.
Yeah, I follow the case closely, and I was happy when I heard that the Police Complaints Authority was supervising the investigation as laid down by law, and was based my thing on a report that I saw before, where somebody died in a lockups in region number 2, and the Complaints Authority supervised investigation, and I was impressed with the report, because He dealt with everybody from the traffic bank to the arresting rank to the persons in the lockups to the commando. Everybody recommended disciplinary action be taken against him. He was thorough. I could ever even we had this squatter to do a bit of investigation, and he wrote a whole set of nonsense, and we sent it to the complaints authority, and he's very critical of this squatter. Well, coming back to the case, how in heaven's name the special branch get involved? But when I get a man like Watson's head of special branch, eh? And then he leading a protest on the East Coast. Special branches got to get the intelligence, and they're being the scene, checking to see whether the police doing based on the intelligence. But no, what's down there? I know you got the triple jumper. And when you look at the investigation, you know, man got 7 bullets. None of the bullets link to any of the police weapons. And it was the police weapons that they used. The other day, on the East Coast, they find a fragment, and link it to a gun. And this thing is 7 bullets, none recover. 7 bullet wounds, and not a warhead recover. Again, to the trial, and I always remember Ian Chang, very critical of the DPP when he was the acting Chief Justice. He's saying, he made profound statement that the DPP is the supreme authority in dealing with the matters. And he's saying if it comes to the DPP and the BGP feels that there's no evidence here to go before any court, the DPP must stop it there, must stop it. Or if there are areas to be cleared up, yes, send it back for the areas to be cleared up. And he was saying that it was the attitude of the DPP. Oh, me ain't get time for waste. Send it let magistrate deal with it. Send it let judge and jury deal with it. So the DPP has got to take some blame in this thing here. How it reached there? How it reached to the High Court? How come when there's no animal scintilla of evidence there? Come back to Yen Chang. He's saying the DPP is the supreme authority, and if the violent thing comes to you and there's no evidence, stop it. Done the dance there. Finish it there. If there matters to be cleared up, clear them up. But don't just send it and say, oh, let the magistrate deal with it. Oh, this is for the judge and jury. No way. And there's a part of it, some of the problems that we are experiencing, that case finish at no case submission. They bring all the witnesses. They say we don't have no other witnesses. We don't have any evidence to be tender, whether documentary or otherwise. And this is the case. And then the defense makes no case submission, and there's the end of it. And there's it with this case. It should have never reached there.
Right, never reach there. Let me, and again, I know emotions are high, and people say, well, look, police, and perhaps that is why they didn't do a proper investigation and all that. But as I said, when I review the evidence in this matter, the report, not the evidence, I didn't see the evidence itself, but I saw the report from the complaints authority, and I was surprised because, as Mr. Conway pointed out, that same complaints authority dealt with the matter where a man died in the Bahadur, I think was his name, in the Saudi lockups. And what Mr. Conway failed to tell you, that even the magistrate, because there was some warrant or something like that for this man, even the magistrate who issued the warrant came in for blows from the complaints authority. I remember that matter very, very well. And the policewoman, the special constable, ended up with a charge of manslaughter. You know why? Because she was working in the inquiry's office and decided to say that nobody went into the cell where this prisoner was. Well, she know that wasn't true. She was covering for the ranks who went in there and beat this man and caused him to die. And the people conclude, all right, if you are the custodian of the key and no one went in there during this time and the man was beaten and the man died, because they flung blood stain and all that, then you have to be the one who killed the man. She got a manslaughter charge. She got a manslaughter, female got a manslaughter charge. I remember she name her, I call it here now. Manslaughter charge. And there are two questions that came up in the comments. Let me address them. One person asked whether the DPP can be disciplined by the court. No, the people to anybody to discipline the DPP is the Judicial Service Commission, right? The Judicial Service Commission. So I don't know, I've been saying repeatedly that some of these things should be referred to the Judicial Service Commission. Let me see what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to do nothing, but at least the reference would have been made. The referral would have been made, right? And then somebody's telling me, you're going to talk about the bomb planting. And the protocol dictates that if you're in office, they should be advised to take your stuff with you. Somebody's querying that and say, well, they'll tell you leave your thing. There's on a plane. On a plane, they tell you when they come out, leave your thing, but not if you are in a building and a bomb threat is in the building. You are advised to take your stuff with you because then it makes life easier for the bomb technicians. And not only that you must take your stuff with you, they ask you to have a quick check around to see if you identify any strange object. Because remember, you in an office, you're there every day, you know everything there. And you might be able to guide them to some strange object in a particular place. So for the student who asks the question, the answer is, if we know those of us who travel in plane when again the security or the safety brief, they'll tell you if you got to evacuate, leave all your stuff with you and go. That is on a plane. But if you are in a building and there's a bomb threat, the protocol, the SOP say that the people should be advised to take whatever they have, the bag, the purse, whatever, take your belongings with you and make a quick scan to see if you see anything strange. Because that is going to, once you take your stuff with you, that makes the stuff that the technicians have to check much less. And then if you are the best person to determine whether an item there is out of place. I never see this thing here before, but there's got to be something. Look, I see an out of place item there. So they will go there and they will examine that first, right? And then when we talk about that too with the bomb thing, I hope that these people from the bomb disposal, whatever they call it, that they have proper gears and proper equipment to respond to these threats. And you're sending man there with a short jack and the tight pants and all them type of thing. I hope so. Right? I hope, because, again, you cannot assume, especially in this current environment, you cannot assume that these things are false, fake, hoax. Can't assume. So let me understand it. And I hope the minister, and this is an operational matter, but I hope that the minister will talk to the squad. You see, you cannot know them things to say, you know. And you get what's here. They might know. So you got to get people. And these things are not, this is not a one man. Get the people, I'm sure, within the system, you get people the experience, the knowledge, people there with the know-how that you can sit down, put your head together, come up with something to deal with this story. It's a serious situation now. It is a serious situation. And you need to look at it as being serious. Get a bomb threat today, maybe you're in for disruptions. I'm just saying, I know they just interpret things foolishly. I'm just saying that because you have the terrorist attack, now you have a bomb threat which caused the court to be evacuated. You have to put mechanisms in place. You have to put mechanisms in place to make sure that any recurrence is dealt with in a professional manner. That is what my advice to you is. Now, let me go to a next matter, CC. We learned over the past week or so about this allegation of the senior officer. They say a senior, well, I can now say, because I read, I think it's Leroy Smith or some news here, the senior officer is a deputy commissioner of police who is alleged to be involved in this inappropriate relationship with a junior staff, right? Her husband get involved too, because the husband is apparently the person who make the complaint. Because the husband, according to the story, the senior officer had the habit of calling his staff, who is the policeman's wife. Incidentally, the man is a junior rank, junior subordinate officer, I think Lance Corporal or something. You know. But you have the man calling she on your phone at some strange hours. And then she telling me, I know why this man always molesting me and all him thing. And then the story is that one night he was using the wife's phone when the senior man sent some message or something like that, which he felt inappropriate. And then the man decided he can't take it no more. So he ball out. You understand? You honorate left jab and right hook when you're in a boxer and then getting paid for it. I mean, if you're a Mike Tyson or you're Evander Holyfield or something and you're getting your left hook and your right jab and thing, you'll give back because that's part of the game. And you know that in any case, you're getting paid for taking blows. But you honorate taking blows and then you ain't getting paid for it. So the man ball out. The man ball out. The minister, the new minister of Home Affairs, Onage Waldron. I used to say Waldron all the time. I saw the thing the other day. My apologies to you, Minister Waldron, for mispronouncing your name, Waldron. So that type of relationship, given the power dynamics, is inappropriate. She went so far to say that according to the Sexual Offences Act, such a relationship may be criminal. And therefore, the first thing I had to ask myself, if the Minister of Home Affairs is saying that the relationship between a deputy commissioner, and I'm not sure what rank this female has. Some people say inspector, some people say something like that. If you're saying that it is criminal in nature, then the logical question to be asked is an investigation underway, a criminal investigation underway. Because you talk about discipline, it is not discipline. You say it's a criminal offense. I want to know if a criminal investigation has been launched. And then, you know, you buy like the research. So I say, well, seeing that I say is a deputy commissioner, I say, well, I know they got 5 deputy commissioners. The establishment some time ago called for 4. But then Robeson Shoot and Scoot Ben piloted an amendment to the Police Act 1601, which stipulates that you should have 4 deputy commissioners, and they amended to increase increase it to 6 deputy commissioners. And I went through the list. Got the list there big online and thing when the promotions were made. Remember, the deputy commissioners were promoted, all of them, on the 19th of December 2024. The squatter commissioner Akin was promoted on the same day, and all the deputy commissioners were promoted on the same day. I think 4 were sworn in and 1 wasn't present to be sworn in at the time. Somebody got you the list, right? The 19th of December, and then I only got you the list, but I can educate them. Because what took place on the 19th of December when Akin and those persons were sworn in can only be described as a travesty. Why do I say that? The establishment of the police force is a fixed establishment. It requires, at the time, 1 commissioner. As I said, they had 4 deputy commissioners, they increased it to 6. I think it's 12 assistant commissioners, and it goes on like that and goes on like that. And to see on that date, the president swore in the deputy commissioners and the commissioner, and all of them date effective from the 19th of December 2024. That is the travesty, because I don't know if they know, but that is going to affect the superannuation benefits and so on. Because when I check the record, I check to see that the first person, because you're replacing, remember when you talk about a promotion in a situation like that, you're replacing someone who would have retired, who would have left the job, who may have died. So they were replacing the at least four deputy commissioners. And those 4 deputy commissioners who were being replaced, let me read. Take out your notebook. The 4 deputy commissioners who were being replaced were Lyndon Alves, right? Woman Deputy Commissioner Maxine Graham, Deputy Commissioner Nigel Appy, and Deputy Commissioner Paul Williams. They are the 4 deputy commissioners that were being replaced. And of course, they wanted the 5th one. I'll tell you about that. And remember, we're trying to walking through who are these deputy commissioners and who is the one that this allegation is made against. So Alves retired on the 1st of February 2019. Alves, Lyndon Alves. The 1st of February 2019, he retired. So the person who, the most senior assistant commissioner, should have been promoted from that date, 1st of February 2019. And my record shows that that should have been assistant commissioner at the time, Simon McBean. Then on February the 1st, on December 1st, 2020, woman assistant commissioner Maxine Graham retired. And the next senior post account to the list was Watts, and Watts should have gotten that date. Then after that, the next person to retire was Nigel Appy. He retired on the January 1st, 2022, and Budram should have gotten that date. Then you had Paul Williams retired on the 1st of May, 2024. Blanham should have gotten that date. And then the last man to be promoted then, Karim Bash, he should have gotten the current date, which is the 19th of December 2024. That was the only one that was correct in terms of the date. Only one that was correct, Karim Bash. So having gone through that, the 4 deputy commissioners you have now, McBean, Watts, Budram, Blanham, and Karim Bash, is one of them four, according to what the article is saying, is a deputy commissioner who is accused of doing this. I wonder is which one? I don't know who is the person. I don't know. But I know the article says deputy commissioner of police. God, they get deputy commissioner, GRA and all them things. Deputy commissioner of police. And therefore there are 4. So it's one of the 4. I'm going to continue to do my investigation. I'm going to continue. And I want to know, again, if a criminal investigation is launched, having regards to the fact that the Minister of Home Affairs said the reported relationship is a violation of the Sexual Offences Act. At the time, on Monday, because the thing started at the sideline of the convening of Parliament. And when Big Smith asked you about the photograph, these inappropriate pictures that are circulating, she said she did not see the pictures. She did not see the pictures. But I hope by now she saw the pictures. I hope by now those pictures would have been made available to her. Right? So let me hear what's going to happen. But let me say this. Students, let me say this. You know them people just work. Them people, not for them what call it, they get coverage. Them get cover. So therefore, don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath that anything would happen to them. Not even discipline, because I don't know. Well, let me say this too. Let me say this, because again, it is of the research. A deputy commissioner cannot be disciplined within the force. The police service commission can't discipline a deputy commissioner. The commissioner of police can't discipline a deputy commissioner. The only discipline for a deputy commissioner is catered for under Article 225 of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Article 225 talks about the removal. And if you go back to the article, I think it's 211, which talks about appointment of commission, deputy commissioner, they tell you for discipline, Article 225. And what Article 225 say? Article 225 gives the Prime Minister, Lion Mark Phillips, a role to write them for show cause. You know, he write me and Conway and the whole Police Service Commission. That is the process that should be invoked. But you think anything can happen? Let me wait and see. Or maybe they're going to put together another tribal union, right, to inquire into this inappropriate conduct of this deputy commissioner of police. Let me bring in CC. CC?
Paul, I know all of them well. For the matter, I recruited Watts. I recruited McBean. I recruited Budram. I know the 2 others well. And when we investigate, we look at trend, we look at pattern, we look at consistency of conduct. And I've been doing my own investigations, and I kind of narrowing down. But I got to be careful. Perhaps at the next episode, I will say a couple of things more in terms of consistency of conduct, in terms of trend, in terms of pattern of especially one of those deputy commissioners.
Right, my brother. Somebody asked today, Ivor, why is the Carl? What is the ethnicity of the victim? I understand the ethnicity of the victim might be female Guyanese of African descent. I think that's the correct terminology. Female Guyanese of African descent. But I know what is the ethnicity of the perpetrator. I know yet, but that investigation can continue. We can able to narrow it down, and you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear, right? Let's say somebody say right thing, the husband of the policeman or the police woman is likely to be punished instead. Well, he can be punished if he wants to get punished, as I've said, because here you have an allegation made that according to the what the Trinidadians say. Trinidad say you're getting horn. The Jamaicans say you're getting bun. Guyanese say you're getting blow. And this is not the blow. You're getting blow. That's what Guyanese say. Why if you getting all them licks in your head, katao, patao, bow, wow, and you can then decide to get disciplined, something wrong? You must elect the blows. You must elect the blow. Not blows, blows. It's singular. You must elect the blow. Let me see what's going to happen. Let us see what is going to happen. Now, let me move to this next subject. What we got? We got about 25 minutes more. Next subject. Lamborghini Gate. You know, on Monday when we had the convening of Parliament, Mr. Azuddin Mohammed, the leader of the We Invest in Guyana party, WIN, who is supposed to be the next leader of the opposition, he turned up in a Lamborghini. Man driving, vom. What's a land? Driving style and fashion. Because the man driving in the Lambo, then the man get on a fancy double-breasted suit and thing. The man look good. Then later on, it transpired that a release was said. The man went there, he claims, I didn't hear the statement itself, so it's a less of said that he took the Lamborghini there for Barra Jack Dio to see. That is what he said. He took the Lamborghini for Barra Jack Dio to see. Oh my God. And here yesterday, at the Thursday afternoon news out, the man spent more than an hour addressing Azuddin Mohammed and the Lamborghini and so on. And here what he said. Hey, listen with your own ears what Jack Dio said.
I don't give a shit about his Lamborghini. But this is it, criminal behavior and flaunting it in people's face. You could have shown me, you could put it on a trailer, bring it on a trailer and drag it in, and you could sit on top of the trailer. So it's not driving, and then you could come off and say, I brought it to show Jack Dio. He's saying, he's showing the finger to the country. Not me, not to Jack Dio. I don't give a shit about his Lamborghini. But this is it, criminal behavior and flaunting it in people's face. You could have shown me, you could put it on a trailer, bring it.
Criminal behavior and flaunting it in people's face. And then the man call out the squatter. Let me see if I get the thing here, man. I got to enjoy. The man call out the squatter. Here what it says. Here, this is a report from HGP Nightly News. Georgetown, Vice President Dr. Barra Jack Dio. I don't like this doctor because it's an honorary thing. It should not be mentioned. Vice President Barra Jack Dio, or even want to say Mr. Barra Jack Dio, has laid the blame squarely at the feet of Police Commissioner Clifton Ikin, declaring that he will be held personally responsible for allowing Azuddin Mohammed's uninsured Lamborghini to be driven on public roads. Speaking at his weekly press conference on Thursday, Jack Dio issued a stern warning to the top cop following public outrage over Mohammed's dramatic arrival at the opening of the 13th Parliament in the same luxury vehicle that is now the subject of an ongoing tax evasion case. Shall you share the live? Share the live. share the life. I can tell you how Ikin no police hit. Let me tell you first of all, Ikin did not do anything because Ikin was not instructed to do anything. Let me repeat that, man. Let me repeat that. Ikin did not do anything in terms of an uninsured motor vehicle on the road because Ikin was not instructed to take any action. And let me lecture Jagdio and Ikin and all of them. If the vehicle on the road is an uninsured vehicle, right, what action can you take? You stop the person, you ask them to produce the insurance. They don't have the insurance in them. There is no law requiring you to have the insurance with you in the vehicle. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat, I just shared the life. There's no law in Guyana that requires the driver to have the insurance of the vehicle that is being driven with him. The law allows you 72 hours to produce the certificate of insurance. So if you're stopped by a police rank or you get into some accident or something, when it comes to insurance, you have 72 hours to produce the insurance, the certificate of insurance. And you are allowed to produce it at any police station. Back in the day, I don't know if they still have it. You used to have one of the books that you have in traffic was a production book. So if you were asked to produce a document, let me say live in Borbies, they didn't expect you committed yourself or you're alleged to have committed yourself in Georgetown, right? I think Clarence telling me it's 5 days. I'm not, well, you have time. I'm a little foggy now. Clarence the old traffic man, I said 5 days, but I think it was 72. I'm not sure. I'm not going to debate that. But the point is that you have time to produce your insurance certificate. And I'm saying that if you are alleged to have committed an offense in Georgetown, they ask you for production, and you live in Borbies, you can carry it to the nearest police station in Borbies and give it to them. And they enter it into the production book. You would have told them which station, and they would send on the thing. Yeah, somebody said 5 days. I got the little thing. 5 days, which makes it even more, 5 days. 5 days, you got to produce. 5 days. So the theory is that the fact that Mohammed drove what you call an uninsured, because I believe it's uninsured, because I remember when they were sanctioned last year, all the financial institutions had to sever contact with them. And an insurance company is a financial institution, right? A financial institution. I don't know what somebody said. Yeah, so I believe that whatever insurance the vehicles belonging to the Mohammeds would have had, once the sanction was made by the U.S. authorities, then they would have canceled the insurance coverage. But don't let me debate. I'm going to research it. Some people debating whether it's 5 days or whether it's 22 hours. Don't let me debate that here now. We can always look it up and bring it. The point is that there's no requirement for you to produce it immediately. That is the point. That is the point. You don't have to produce it immediately. You have time. You're driving a motor vehicle. You have to have your driver's license with you at all times. I mentioned that some weeks ago. Question was asked, and I answered it. You have to have your driver's license with you. You know, now that you have smartphones and so on, some people might snap the phone, they can get on the phone. And again, if it is that the reason for production is to satisfy that you are a legitimate driver, I see nothing wrong with the smartphone picture. But there might be other reasons why the police might want to see a driver's license, and if they want to see the actual physical license, there are valid reasons why that may be so. So you have to have your driver's license with you at all times. The other document that should be there on the vehicle is the revenue license. You have to have the revenue license, and the revenue license should be displayed on the front windscreen, on the left side of the front windscreen, the revenue license, which is an annual license. And then you have the certificate of fitness, which you should have in the vehicle. There's no legal requirement for the certificate of fitness to be displayed on the vehicle. If it's a car, that is what the law. The law recognizes minibus. If it's a car and I think also goods vehicle, then you have to have the fitness certificate of fitness displayed, right? And we talked about this some week ago, very long ago. You used to get a little container, a little wrong thing for you put it inside and have it displayed, and I think on the right side at the thing and so on. So the whole story is the nice way they're making about uninsured motor vehicle. And then I understand somebody said the dog whistle. And perhaps the whistle, the whistle was heard. Because I saw a picture on social media a little while ago, but before I came on the live, to say one of the vehicles registered to the moment was seized by the police. They said they seized them getting some compound. I want to know why the legal authority was seizing a motor vehicle under those circumstances. If it doesn't get insurance, you can't seize a motor vehicle for not having insurance. Especially since whenever you find it on the road, they get 5 days or 3 days, whatever it is, from that time to produce the certificate of insurance. But Mohammed, they live in their man head rent-free. I see Mohammed posting picture. And here, let me say this, I am representing the Mohammeds. I only brief for the Mohammeds. And I am one who believe if you commit the crime, you must serve the time. But you have to produce evidence, as we have said before, not just all sort of thing you're talking. Like a big bag of coals. You shake a big bag of coals, where you get dust. Only dust can come when you shake a bag of coals. Only dust could come from it. So all the nice they're making, all the nice. I don't know if they have the legal authority to seize the vehicle. Because from the time you find the vehicle on the road, the man, if it's insurance you're talking about, they have to get the requisite time to produce the certificate of insurance, whether it's 3 or 5 days. You have to be given the time to produce it. So why you seizing this vehicle for? What are you seizing the vehicle for? Just to satisfy the vice president. Because he call you out and say you are going to be personally held responsible. And all that. You're frightened? Go on, man. You pass the retirement age. You go now, you get all the benefit. But you just stay around too long. And that is why you just come into all of these embarrassment. And you stay around too long. You outlive your usefulness. So maybe there's a dog whistle for you to be sent home. You see him as a dog whistle to go after the Mohammeds and the vehicle. But perhaps it's a dog whistle for the get rid of you. Finally. Right? Well, yes, Ricky. Again, whose name is the vehicle registered in? Because remember, it might very well be that the vehicle is registered in a name other than the sanctioned person's name. You see all of these things. They just jump in wild. They just jump in wild. So did you confirm whose name these vehicles are registered in? All of that. Thanks, Ricky, for that. All of that. But I'm saying this. Yesterday, the vice president made a statement that you are going to be held personally responsible for allowing uninsured vehicles to drive on the road. And that seems to have been a dog whistle for you to take action against these vehicles owned by the Mohammeds. But it might be a dog whistle for you to get sent home finally. So let me hope that the frequency that the whistle thing in there, that you know what's going on, right? There's no law against transporting on the back of the vehicle. I'd say is another occupational health and safety thing, right? And what one of the students is asking here, he's over I'm able to talk about the police transporting persons in open back vehicles, and they're sitting on the rail and so on. I don't know of any specific law that deals with that, right? I don't think so. But again, I'll have to research that. But I know, and I commented on it frequently, that policemen on duty sitting down on the rim of vehicles, and if the brakes are applied suddenly, you can imagine what's going to happen to them. But that's the type of example they don't set. They don't set the right example. But I'm going to research that part about it, right? So this thing about the vehicle and the action taken, but let me watch to see what's going to happen. Let me watch to see what's going to happen. Yeah, look, let me say this. Jagdio get worked up because the man Tantini. And if you look on social media, you see a lot of memes with the same thing. Jack Dio sit down in the vehicle now. Jack Dio think, and then I think the Mohammeds or somebody associated with the Mohammeds made a post to tell Jack Dio that they're gonna give you a vehicle for Christmas, free Christmas, providing they give the people them the $200,000 cash grant. Right? Everybody's look, this thing sweet. Someone associated with the Mohammed page, right? Say, Jack Dio, we're gonna give you this Lamborghini for Christmas, providing that you are give everybody the 200,000 cash grant for Christmas. So Jack Dio getting all mad and worked up. But let me before bringing CC, let me deal with this other issue. Let me deal with this other issue, right? We told you repeatedly on this program that the arrest, but first of all, the delay in proclaiming the commencement of the 13th Parliament, I believe, was directly linked to the issues with Azzuddin Mohammed. You can't change me mind from that. And as I say, as a former police officer, we don't just make statements just so. Me and them Debbies, them what they're about now. You know what's a Debbie? And apologies to anyone here who might have the name Debbie. When you talk about a Debbie is a person that say who just deb out. You just deb out and you get a clue. You know your ace from your ass and your many now. So I am not Debbie. I ain't just deb out. When I talk, I try to produce evidence. In today's Kaicho News, there are statements here attributed to Bharat Jagdeo, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo. Hear what it says. I'm going to read excerpts to convince you that everything against the Mohammed there now is politically motivated. The delay in the convening of Parliament, the arrest on Friday, last Friday, all were designed to ensure that Azzuddin Mohammed didn't get into Parliament on Monday. Hear what Jagdeo is reported to have said at yesterday's press conference, the thing that they call press conference. He said, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo on Thursday criticized the granting of bail to businessman Azzuddin and Nazar Mohammed, and even argued that the 150 amount was determined based on convenience for the duo rather than the seriousness of the offense. Now, if Jagdeo, like Sanjeev Dattadin, is arguing that bail should not have been granted, that is what I say. He criticized the granting of bail. What they're telling you, the expectation was that when they arrest him Friday afternoon, that he would have been remanded, and therefore Monday, 2 o'clock, he might have still been in prison and remand, and therefore could not have attended Parliament, and therefore could not have been sworn in as a member of Parliament. And if you're not sworn in as a member of Parliament, you cannot become the opposition leader. There's basic logic. Even them when I've been to school so long, I have to recognize that. Then he goes on to say that, tell you what the lawyers say. The lawyers from Jamaica, they say, Williams, the lead, in his argument, told the court that the gentlemen have been engaged in an international criminal enterprise, which includes tentacles reaching into Venezuela's high offices, the United States of America, and into the Middle East. He also told the court that the businessmen have been in contact with authorities in Venezuela, and with these contacts, they could flee to the neighboring country and continue their unlawful enterprise. That is what the lawyer, this King's Counsel from Jamaica, told the court. And then they say, speaking at his press conference held at Freedom House, Jagdeo said that it is something that the government is confronting, as it is of a very serious nature. He explained that, hear this to them. He explained that normally in a case like this, or a case like these, there is no bail granted. That's what Jagdeo said yesterday. That's what Jagdeo is reported to have said yesterday. No bail granted. But here, not so. Not only bail was set, so the bail was set at $150 in cash bail because you don't need to get a draft. It was Friday afternoon and normal. So it wasn't the seriousness of the offense that determined bail. It was a convenience to the Mohammeds. So they could pay $150 in cash. People don't get bail for that. You can imagine the world looking on at Guyana and saying, what is happening in that country? What happening for the US and everywhere else? What is happening? That is what he lamented. That, now, if Jack Dio is saying that you don't get bail and they're surprised at that, it means there's evidence, incontrovertible evidence, that when he was arrested, at least they felt that no bail would have been granted. And then they're attacking the magistrate. How they haven't explained to us yet how the magistrate who was presiding in the Diamond Ministerial District, now in the code, in that district, was able to go to another district, Georgetown Ministerial District, to deal with this case. They didn't explain that yet, because she was brought down, we understand, last week, Friday morning, old place locked down, special hearing, I understand over 2 hours or something like that. Then a warrant was issued. The magistrate issued the warrant. They went and they arrest Asudin Mohammed and his father. They took them to the same court, and then the argument started. The Jamaican make them outlandish claims about international criminal enterprise without a shred of evidence. And they're blaming the magistrate. Our magistrate is going, well, they're claiming, according to Dr. Dinner, that the Constitution prevents bail from being granted in a case like that. That is what they say. But then the attorney, one of the attorneys for the Mohammeds, Sayan Dujan, quoted other law which showed that the people are entitled to bail. Entitled to bail. And maybe, CC, I want you to comment on this because like just listen. Because we made the point on this program, I think it was Monday, that the amount of bail was significant, $150,000 bail. Because with $150,000 bail, you can pay cash. I understand anything 200,000 over, you got to get a bank draft, some check or something like that. And therefore, if they were put on, let's say, $200,000 bill, right, they would get a rough time to get a manager's check to get the bill. And unlike what Jack Dio is saying here, he said it was convenient to the so they could pay $150. You can't bail yourself, Jack Dio. You cannot bail yourself. So the Mohammed couldn't bail themselves. You have to have someone to bail you. No matter who you be, maybe you might experience that at some time. But no matter who you be, you cannot bail yourself. The person who bails you is like a guarantor. They're guaranteeing your return to the court. So you can't bail yourself. You might be able to provide someone with the money to bail you, but at the end of the day, the bailer, the person who bail you, has to be someone else. Has to be someone else. So it's Mohammed, you're giving the impression that Mohammed bailed himself. And before I bring in Cecil, let me make this one other point. They say, he talk about the Kool-Aid gang, and then here he says, he highlighted that the extradition request was not signed by a junior man in the United States. It was signed by the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Well, as far as I'm aware, is them senior people going to sign. This is a government request. This is a request from the United States government to the Guyana government. I think it will have gone to the foreign affairs people. It's a diplomatic arrangement. And then later on, the legal people and them people going to come into play. But that is what it is. So all this big nice is more evidence, folks, that when Asudin Mohammed and his father, not the father so much, in this case, when Asudin was arrested last Friday, the PPP did not expect him to get bail. They do everything, but the thing backfire, and backfire in a spectacular way. So they're jumping now, and they're jumping. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. They're sure he anxious to get a piece of this soft bowling. CC, go ahead.
Yeah, it backfired spectacularly. This is where the same magistrate, and the reports we got that they wanted her to become the chief magistrate to supersede other magistrates. So they brought her from Diamond, a Diamond magistrate. But the Diamond magistrate turned up, and then when the Diamond magistrate turned up, she ruled against their expectations. The Diamond perhaps Stone Branch. She ruled against them, and she put them on bail. But let's and I always like to look at bail. Well, I've been dealing with bail as a corporal, as an investigator, as a station sergeant, as a subdivisional officer, as a commander. And these are points which are very, very relevant, points to be considered before granting bail. One, gravity and nature of the charge. Weight of evidence. Remember in a acid throwing matter, they tell the magistrate, hey, they get evidence. You had evidence on video, so she postponed it to the next day, remand the man. And when they turn up next day, nothing. So she sent him on bail. The status of the accused, possibility of absconding. And this one is very, very, very critical. Will the granting of bail defeat the end of justice? And the top one, you gotta be guided by the Constitution of Guyana, not politically. Article 139. Read it. Guided by Article 139. And in some summary matters, even in criminal matters, you deal with the Bail Act, Section 7 of the Bail Act. And jump high, jump low. Be guided by your conscience. Let your conscience be your guide. I listened to the Attorney General, SC, can't find the vowel, MP. And he was critical of some lawyers, who dealt with this matter. We call them bush liars. Or them, he said they're bush liars. But this thing is basic common sense. And common sense is not commonplace. Neither is not common in everybody, including attorney generals. Common sense isn't common in anybody, including attorney generals.
You refer to people like Royce Ilford, Senior Counsel, Nigel Hughes, Cyan Dujan, and them as bush liar. So what to them why you bring from Jamaica? Who are you? What disappoint you? Because they said they make us an argument. And I'm saying the fact that they could try to make link with Venezuela and so on, is they feed them that Kool-Aid. They feed them that bullshit. Right? They did that. Right? So they got it and they come and they think there. But let me say this. I'm going to say that they get shaft with grease. No. He said without grease. There's a ramen pack. There's a caveman they get there. Caveman, no romance, no ramen pack. Then listen to what your name? What the man name of went from PPP platform, what talking about slime up and all them type of thing. What your name, man? Yeah, remind me. Remind me quickly what the man name. Mami West Demerara. He was a AFC man, and then he got to West Demerara there at a political rally, and he talking about from the erection, from the slime up, and all them type of thing. That is what. So they don't even do nothing. They don't even do nothing, right? Leonard Craig, that's the man. Then they listen to him. They don't get no chance to get slime up and all them type of thing. They ram it like a caveman. That's what they get. They get it full shaft, because there's nothing to convince me when you look at the sequence of events and the statements that are being made by them PPP people that that the expectation was remand for Assadin Mohammed. And I said, somebody tell me we got other things to talk about. Yeah, but we got to close off with this one because as I have said, and we waiting to hear because this is a big debate now. Big debate. about when that meeting of parliament will be held to elect the leader of the opposition. When will the speaker summon that meeting? And again, I invite you and I implore you to listen to Mr. Winston Jordan. Yesterday, he told us certain things, because he said, among the things he said, is that there was nothing preventing the speaker, Mansour Nadir, on Monday, right, to ask the members of the opposition to repair to another room and immediately vote on the leader of the opposition, a 5-10 minutes operation exercise. He said there is nothing that prevented the speaker from doing that on Monday itself. Jagdio talk about 1 month. I see the writing about the part. I see one man right today, or sometime into some other time, speaker, they take almost 2 months to the speaker. Let me admit, for argument's sake, that there were times in the past when it took some time for the Speaker of the House to be elected. You want to say that now should become standard, where you're going to take a prolonged time and they are operating without a leader of the opposition? That is what you want to suggest? That is how corrupt and backward you people are? But let me, again, for argument's sake, let's say in the past there were occasions, for whatever reason, that the Speaker, the election of the leader of the opposition took some time. Are you suggesting because it happened in the past, you must take time every time to elect the leader of the opposition? I don't understand the logic. I don't understand the logic. I am saying that the reason they're putting it off, because they're hoping against hope, I think, that Azadin Mohammed can be off the scene. Why have you not called? Or at the same time, if you don't call it the same day, give indication when this meeting can be called. You could say, well, look, we can come back tomorrow, or we can come back Friday, or we can come back at some stage, all opposition members, and then you follow it up with some official writing for them to come back. Right? That could have been done, but they want Azadin Mohammed to be leader of the opposition. Jagdio said, right? Jagdio, let me put my language in police language. Jagdio is reported to have said, me and myself, right, that Azadin Mohammed want to turn leader of the opposition, believing that will absolve him from whatever criminal liability and so on again, right? But when you talk about criminal liability, I believe many people in the PPP, including Bara Jagdio, are being shielded because of the political position. Let me play this one. Let me play this one quickly. Let me play this one. Y'all bear with me, man. Bear with me. I'm gonna give y'all a nice weekend gift. Let me play this one to tell you what I mean. I gotta look for this tape. Here it is. Look.
The darker you are, the lower you are on the index. The developed countries hardly ever get on this index. And they have more institutional corruption, in my view.
What about within your government? Do you accept bribes?
No, I don't.
We've spoken to a number of Chinese business people in Guyana who said that you do accept bribes, and they've said that, in fact, it's the only way to get business done.
Yeah, well, I can't comment on that. You can just sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Zhirong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims that through his very close relationship with you, that he's able to get any deal done.
Well, I don't.
Do you use middlemen like Sue in order to take money on your behalf so that you can keep your hands clean?
No. The answer is no.
We met with a manager from a Chinese state-run corporation who confirmed that they use individuals like Sue in order to get these deals done, and that they pay them a consulting fee, which essentially serves as a bribe to individuals like you. I mean, what would you say to that?
I don't know, because again, that's all. You're building everything on what you have met and what people told you. I don't know. I can't comment on some anonymous manager now telling you something.
I mean, these are
Why-
individuals
but
who
why
have
do you want
significant
me-
business
why
interests
do
in this
you-
country. So I'm
why
just
do you
wondering
think, yes,
if, there,
but why
if
do
there's so
you
many
think-
people are telling us one thing about, this
Yeah,
is
but-
the way that deals get done.
But it
I'm
is,
wondering what your
but
take
don't you
is.
know, when the reporters come from abroad, this is their catch you kind of thing. You always want to make a developing country leader look corrupt. So you've done your bit.
Will you investigate at least, these
No,
things?
definitely. I'm going to ask about all of this, but I can't comment reasonably. How can I comment on these issues?
A few days after meeting with us, Jagdeo released our interview to the press, seemingly to get ahead of the onslaught of public reactions. Guyana's president leapt to Jagdeo's defense.
I heard that the reporter had certain special interests.
Neither the timber exporter we spoke to nor the Chinese state-run firms mentioned in this piece responded to our questions. But in a statement, the Chinese embassy called our reporting false and said all Chinese companies operating in Guyana follow local laws and international practices. Su also claimed he'd never said this and released a statement saying that he'd never acted on behalf of any government official or promised any favour or business-related reward. Since our interview...
Yeah, you're there. Look, when you're talking about, imagine these people can sit and talk about corruption. That is perhaps the most damning allegation ever made against a politician, any politician in Guyana. And what happens? Nothing. In that interview there with the Vice News investigator, kind of investigative report, incidentally for which she won a global award earlier this year. They talk about investigation. Jagdeo say investigation. Up to now, no investigation. And they're the ones who talk about corruption. And they know, only now they know people corrupt. They know the Mohammed is corrupt. They talk about gold board people corrupt. GRA people corrupt. Police corrupt. Government people are corrupt too. That is evidence. That at least, well, not evidence necessarily, allegation made. Why there is no investigation? And we talk about it. Somebody wrote about as I've said, talk about the leader of the opposition. They mentioned 2 occasions when it was delayed. And here what one of the students is saying. On both occasions, 2015 and 2020, when elections of the leader of the opposition took some time, they were due to contrived circumstances. In 2015, the PPP did not attend parliament until 6 weeks after it was convened. When he eventually attended, as Jagdeo, when he eventually attended, he was elected leader of the opposition the same day. Let me read that back. And I love when people come and enlighten us. Because they're arguing now that on 2 previous occasions, the leader of the election of the leader of the opposition took some time. Right? Hear what is being said. On both occasions, 2015 and 2020, when the election of the leader of the opposition took some time, they were due to contrived circumstances. In 2015, the PPP did not attend parliament until 6 weeks after it was convened. When he eventually attended, as Jagdeo, when he eventually attended, he was elected leader of the opposition the same day. The same day. So what I come and tell you people. Now let me try to close off this one. We coming back, people ask about a question because Jagdeo made statements about the media and he talk about criminal enterprise and Pablo Escobar type of arrangement and that. Yeah, I'll continue to share. Let me say this. Over the weekend, I think sometime Friday, Saturday, sometime then, Anil Nandalal SC, MP, made a statement. Remember that? He said that you can expect additional requests for extradition sometime next week. That is this week. Today is Friday. We didn't hear if anything come out yet. Today is Friday. But what we do know, student, y'all don't go. What we do know, look, let me show you all this. I pulled this off the site this morning. And this is the site dealing with the case or the docket with the case against Azuddin and his father, Nassar Mohammed. And what we're seeing here, you might not be able to see good. Let me get something to read. These are unsealed documents. These are sealed, rather. These are sealed documents that were filed in that case. These are sealed documents. And if you look carefully, you might be able to make it out. The last two documents, the last two sealed documents in this case, were filed yesterday, the 6th of November 2025. The 6th. Sealed documents. I don't know if they are indictment. I don't know what they are. But they are of sufficient importance that they have not been unsealed. And I understand people BT biting. People BT biting because there is speculation as to who the request will be made for next. And let me say this before I bring in CC, is that I am sure that them know who are the people who are going to be requests going to be made for them to be extradited. They know. They know. Because my knowledge of the pro system is that before the request is made for persons to be extradited, you have to unseal them documents. You have to unseal those documents. I want you to unseal. I'm monitoring the site. I'm monitoring the site because once it's unsealed, we can all see and then we can all know. Perhaps even before the extradition request is made, we're going to see and we're going to know who these persons are. So let it jump. As I said, when Nandala made a statement, I told you all, when blind man say he can pelt you, he don't get brick in the hand. And old people say, be careful what you wish for. And the father said, when you dig an hole for your mati, dig one for yourself at the same time. When you dig an hole for your mati, dig one for yourself at the same time. Now, time catch up with me, and I had so many other things to discuss. For example, you would have heard or seen that they decide to reintroduce the third lane, that deadly lane in traffic. We're going to talk about that perhaps on Monday, God's free life. You would have seen too that Guyana Revenue Authority withdraws the charges against the Mohammed. Right? They withdraw, they remove the drawers against the case. We're going to talk about all them things, we're going to analyze all of that. We got enough more to talk about. Enough more. But this 2 hours is done so quick. You know, they said time flies when you're having fun. And I had fun this afternoon. I hope you had fun too. Right? Right. And then we understand in 2020, one of the reasons for the delay in the appointing of the leader of the opposition because of COVID. You had COVID. And then you had COVID in 2020. There was COVID. However, when Parliament was convened on September 1, 2020, Joe Armand was elected leader of the opposition the same day. So the 2 occasions where they talk about that there was a delay, 2010 and 2015 and 2020, you have reasons, valid, valuable reasons why the leader of the opposition was not sworn in the same day. So they come and tell you this nonsense about, take time. What time? What time? Because this one will take time because you all want Azadin Mohammed be the leader of the opposition. And they me batting for Azadin Mohammed. I'm just laying out the facts bare. Because all of you was tight like a nun's drawers. Are you tight? Wind couldn't pass between you. Wind could not pass between you. And now only Azadin and his father said so. The evidence suggests that. All them things you all accusing Azadin Mohammed of doing, I am saying that there's no way he could have done all those things by himself. And what you tell me, you all know? You all know? You all talk about collaborators. I think Jack Dew is supposed to make the statement. When the matter starts in the U.S., whenever that is, we're going to hear all what's going on. We're going to hear all what's going on. Right? When these documents that I showed you there just now are unsealed, we're going to hear, because remember in the indictment, the U.S. authorities have said that they are known persons, they committed these offenses, they are alleged to have committed this offense with known and unknown persons. They are alleged to have committed the offenses, the 11 indictments, with known or unknown, known and unknown persons. So very soon we can know they're going to no longer be unknown, or at least the known ones will be revealed. At least the known persons, we can get to know who they are. I just jump there. And again, I say, when I say we are going to get to know who they are, but I believe them know who those persons are. Them know who the persons are. So don't worry, all the speculations that were going around, it's going to be revealed in time. The Barge sang that song. Reveal, it's going to be revealed in time. We're going to be, let me bring in CC for his comments and his closing, and then we're going to tell you about the way forward. CC, I'm sure you have a lot to say. Go ahead, my brother.
Well, I'm going to close off early because I don't trust panel anything there. Who is asked the question, who is the senior officer? Very, very senior officer. My information is that during one of the CPL finals, I ain't giving you no date yet, that Lamborghini drove into the Providence Stadium, allegedly driven by Azudine. And a passenger emerged, a very senior police officer went in there with the thing to watch the cricket. Understand, that wasn't the first time he was seen in company with Azudine in that same vehicle. So do your homework and let's see. And I'm making it clear, I said during a CPL final. I ain't narrowed down yet. The vehicle drove in. The driver wanted to watch cricket. Came out, and a very senior police officer came out. He was the only passenger. And they went and they watched the cricket together. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Have a good weekend. Now let me round off by saying this. Keep your ears to the ground. Keep your eyes open. Things are happening. Things are happening in the US in the same case. Because I said yesterday, 2 unsealed documents were filed. Yesterday, the 6th of November, 2 unsealed documents are filed. Then in terms of the Caribbean again, keep your eyes open. The US reporting that they struck another suspected drug vessel somewhere in the Caribbean Sea. They killed 3 persons in that operation. Keep your eyes on the ground. We learned that the head of the US Southern Command is in Guyana on a visit. I see the big military aircraft there. I see the big military aircraft at Timeri, I said, enough man must be running hide. You never know, you know. You never know. So a lot of people see a US aircraft touchdown there, big jet. Man might run and hide because they might tell you that it brought this marshal or some rank. I can't remember what is the rank, admiral or something, some big rank. They bring this man. He's the head of the U.S. Southern Command in Guyana now. I think the 6th and the 7th, they say he's there. And when I hear, man was the other spies at Timiri. Hey, plane touchdown, run and hide. The Ghanaians some whole night. Right? Frighten. But you know, as I've said, you do nothing, you fear nothing. But them do enough. So they got to be afraid. They have to be afraid. They have to be afraid. Folks, Friday afternoon, I am going to, a little later, have a little refreshment. Liquid refreshment. Right? Potent liquid refreshment. Because I enjoy today's program. I hope you did as well. And let me say, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Hope you have a good weekend. Keep your ears to the ground. Keep your eyes open. Hope you have a good weekend. And as I always say, be safe. So many things are happening in Guyana. I wish it, but I'm sure that by the time we come in Monday, we're going to hear some disaster again. Because almost every day is a disaster. every day, and not only now with this government, only this term, but even before, every day is a disaster. Every day. And finally, let me invite you to make a subscription, those of you who can. The Zelle, Cash App, and MMG numbers are there. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all those who have been making contributions from time to time, right? So I got to note that there's get problems streaming on Facebook, but we're done now. We're done. So let me say this to you. Be safe during the weekend, and God spare life. We're going to meet again here on Monday. Monday is the 10th for another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.